I put out a statement that said everything I've done has been legal and consensual, and that's true.
It seems like a lot of celebrities are going and showing their true colors to the world in ways that make many wonder how we didn't know about these people the first go-round. For comedian Chris D'Elia, his accusations aren't recent, but rather they've been growing in frequency over the course of the last year. And many more are showing just how dark this funny man really is. But what are all the things he's been accused of? What are the things that he's been said to have done, and why are so many people angry about it? Allow us to show you the truth revolving around the rumors of Chris D'Elia. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 5. The accusation from an incident long ago. One of the saddest things about victims of abuse, exploitation, and more is that they don't want to come forward for one reason or another after the event has happened. Not the least of which is the humiliation they feel because they were caught in said event, and they don't want people to look at them as a victim. Thus, they hold it in until they can't anymore. Which brings us to actress Megan Drust. It was in 2011 when Drust said D'Elia asked her for a ride home from a Los Angeles restaurant where she had stopped by to meet D'Elia and a friend. That ride never happened, however, because when they got into her car, Drust said D'Elia unzipped his pants and exposed himself to her. 3 women, including Drust, another woman who was asked to remain anonymous for personal reasons, and Laura Vitarelli, who first shared her account with the Los Angeles Times in June of 2020, all told CNN that D'Elia exposed himself to them on separate occasions without their consent. D'Elia denies these allegations and emphatically states that he has never engaged in any sexual conduct with any woman without her consent. Andrew Brettler, D'Elia's attorney, told CNN. They'd been at Jones Restaurant in West Hollywood with a mutual friend. Drust said she had met D'Elia a handful of times before that night and considered him an acquaintance. Drust, who was 26 at the time, told CNN that as she was getting ready to leave, D'Elia asked her for a ride home. I said, sure. This was really before everyone was taking Ubers, and I had marked him as safe, which equals a non-threatening male, Drust told CNN. He was friends with some of my friends. I had met him before. That's what you do. At least, that's what I did. You mark certain people as safe. Things went wrong in a hurry as they got into the car. We were both sitting there, and I'm like, where are we going? And Chris is leaning up against the door of the passenger side and looking at me in this really weird way. And then he started to try to make flirty small talk, she recalled. I was very confused because it just didn't fit the moment. Then he took down his zipper and asked me to touch him, and I said, what are you doing? No. And because I wouldn't touch him, he started to masturbate. I couldn't believe it. Drust said at that point she got out of the car. I get out and I have the door open and I walk out into the street and I'm saying, why are you doing this? And I remember saying, you're defiling my car. I didn't want to make him mad or upset because you're in survival mode, you know? She said. He climaxed in his pants and then he zipped everything up and I said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with him indeed? That kind of behavior is not just wrong, it's horrifying. CNN spoke to a friend of Drust's who said she was with Drust that day and confirmed the encounter with D'Elia. It definitely made me not want to go out to comedy clubs, which was hard because a lot of my friends were comics, Drust said. It really raised my guard and I stopped going to events and I never went to anything alone after that. And lest you think this was a one-off event, it wasn't. Number 4. The manager. CNN further did an investigation in 2020 and talked with 2 other women who noted that D'Elia was more than happy to expose himself to them, including one woman who was a manager at the Kimpton Schofield Hotel in Cleveland, Ohio, where D'Elia stayed as a guest in March 2018. He was there for a comedy show, and as the overnight manager, she watched the desk of the hotel, and one night he called and asked for help because the air conditioner wasn't working. No technician was available, so she went up to his room. When I knocked on the door, he opened the door and he was completely naked, she said. I was surprised, and I was annoyed that I just came all the way up just so he could expose himself to me. She left without a word, and told both her finance and some co-workers what had happened. A few minutes later, she said D'Elia called the front desk again. He told me I needed to come back upstairs to help with his air conditioner, and I told him he would need to wait for the electrician the following morning, and I hung up. When her shift was over, she went and told her higher-up about the incident and noted it would be her report. That's when things got even worse. We really didn't talk about it after I told him, she said. But I was made to feel like it wasn't a big deal because this isn't really an uncommon thing to happen in the hotel business. It just happened to be a famous person who did it this time. I didn't want to draw attention to it because I also wanted to keep my job. A sad yet consistent thing that happens in the world today, not just in entertainment, but all over. Which was backed up when CNN asked the hotel to comment and they said that no such incident occurred. and gave a big PR line about how they always take care of their guests and people. Number 3. The party. Sadly, this still isn't done, because in 2015, Laura Vitarelli also found themselves being revealed to by Delia. She and her friend went to a comedy club where he performed, and they were excited to meet him, and after the event, they took pictures with him. Totally fine in the context of the event. Delia apparently swapped numbers with him and invited them to a party, but when they got to the address, it was his hotel. She said Delia asked them to put their cell phones in a basket upon entering the room. There was no sign of a party at all, Vitarelli said. He said he was going to make us drinks, and her and I were both a little nervous just because it didn't really look like he was about to throw a party. There was nobody else there. Vitarelli said Delia then sat between them on the couch and almost immediately put one of each of his hands down our backsides and started groping us. After that, they made up an excuse to leave, and the friend in the incident confirmed this happened to CNN and asked to remain anonymous out of fear of backlash. Number 2. Delia's response. Naturally, it's important to hear both sides of the story, and while Chris D'Elia stayed quiet for a long time, in 2021, he made a statement on the accusations. All of my relationships have been both legal and consensual. He also apologized and explained, I really am truly sorry. I was a dumb guy who absolutely let myself get caught up in my lifestyle. That's my fault. I own it. I've been reflecting on this for some time now, and I promise I will continue to do better. However, sex controlled my life, he said, and I have a problem. And I do have a problem. I need to do work on that. This apology is all the proof you need that he not only did those things, but doesn't care about the damage he caused. Because he both said it was legal and yet also said he had a problem and that he got caught up in the lifestyle, as if that's an excuse for what he did. And now, the charges are getting even worse. Number 1. Child exploitation. Chris D'Elia is now being sued by someone who is claiming that when she was 17, he sent over 100 explicit photos to her. When I was in my final year of high school and still a child, I was groomed by a celebrity twice my age. Chris D'Elia abused his status and fame to lure me in, take advantage, and manipulate me when I was at a vulnerable age, said the plaintiff in the case. She's also asking for others who have been hurt by him to step up so they can deliver true justice. Naturally, D'Elia, through his lawyer, has denied that this is what happened. So here you have a situation where multiple women are coming forward and stating that D'Elia exposed himself and violated them without consent. And while one story doesn't necessarily mean definite guilt, this many stories all telling a similar tune, plus colleagues of Chris D'Elia coming forward and saying that he's done this before, yeah, that's a different story. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Chris D'Elia and all the various accusations and rumors that are said to be real? Do you look at this body of evidence and stories and think that he is absolutely guilty of these acts? Do you feel that there are even more stories out there about him just waiting to be told, and that these new allegations will go and bring them to light? Is his career over? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.